Kelso. Kelso is one of Nika's cats, and Kelso, we're talking really softly right now because Kelso is either a level 3 or a level 4 kitty depending on the day, and we're going to make every attempt to handle him without sedation, bearing in mind that if he needs sedation, we're going to give him sedation because our goal is to make it as uneventful for him as possible. And if he gets too stressed, the absolute best thing to do would be to give him a sedative. So we have a little Mozart going in the background. We've got the lights dim. As you can see, we have the carrier covered right now. Ultimately, what I'm going to do is first assess him. So I'm going to slowly take the cover off the carrier, and we'll have the camera focus pretty much on him most of the time. And we'll just watch what his signals are. He's going to tell us by ear position how coward he is, what his vocalizations are. Is he hissing or growling? But also what he's doing physically. Is he swatting? Does he show signs of aggression? Whether it's out of fear or not, and that's really going to dictate whether or not we can even look at him. I'm going to go very slow with him, and hopefully he'll let us take a peek at him. But he is a level 3 or 4 going in, so we know that there's a fair chance we're going to have to sedate him. So again, we want to do this as quietly as possible. Fortunately, this carrier, which is not my favorite for cats that are like this, is opening up pretty easily. These latches tend to stick and make a lot of noise and are very difficult to open up. I suspect this particular carrier has been opened closed a number of times, so these hinges are working better. But at any rate, we've opened the carrier. It's always better to remove the carrier top so that you can see the individual then going into the carrier. So in other words, I don't want to open the door, reach in, dump him out. All those things are going to be stressors to him. So we want to make it as stress-free as possible. He's already looking at me through the carrier hole, so I can see him. But we're going to just try to. He's going to tell us. So we're just going to take our time. Everything's going to be slow, non-intimidating. We're not going to look him in the eye. In fact, I'm going to try to do my exam from behind his head so that he doesn't see me coming towards him. He is hissing. His pupils are dilated. He's not taking a fear posture yet. His ears are still upright, relatively speaking, and forward. And so far, he's not being a level 3 or a level 4. But again, you can see his pupils are dilated. So we're going to go very slowly with him. I need my old man goggles to do this. I'll put them on. Now, Kelso is doing well, so he just needs a general physical and his vaccine. So, I think, again, we want to be non-intimidating, gentle, slow, soft-spoken, do everything in our power to minimize the stress that he's experiencing, because coming here is a big stress to him. And so far, I would say that we're having very good success, but I haven't really done a whole lot with him yet. I'm still just trying to gain his confidence and ease his mind. And a lot of that, what we're doing in here, not just petting him, but again, we have the lights dimly lit. We have soft classical music playing. We also have Fellaway plugins emitting a calming pheromone. So I just want to go really slow with him. Gently start looking at things. His ears look good. Take a look at your eyes. Again, you can see the pupils are very dilated. He is growling a little bit. He's got mild to moderate black on his teeth. I would call it a grade 2 dental disease. He's doing very well. I think if he were really fearful, when you start to palpate around their head and their neck, they contract their muscles and they shrink their heads down, pull everything in as tightly as possible, and he's not. He's relatively speaking relaxed. Again, he is growling a little bit. He's doing okay. So far we've been able to do a good exam of his front end, lift his skin, check his hydration status. I forgot my stethoscope, so you'll have to bear with me a second. I'm going to pet him a minute while Carrie goes to get my stethoscope. Just going really easy with him. I think Nico would have to agree that she's probably fairly surprised at how much we've already been able to do with him. The last time he was here, he required sedation. And he's been in his cage, in his carrier for the morning, and so he's been allowed to kind of acclimate to the clinic and quiet down and let some of that stress peel away. We also have that calming pheromone plug-in in the kennel. Again, you can see Carrie's walking in with my stethoscope. That is a disruption to him, and certainly you want to minimize disruptions because we want to keep him as calm as possible. So I'm just going to gently apply just a little bit of scruffing, not much, just so I can get underneath. Listen to his heart. Again, distraction, calm. He's still relatively relaxed. He's not crunching up or recoiling from me at all. His ears are still perky. He's not getting in that defensive or aggressive posture. He's still wide-eyed and growling, but he's letting me do everything so far. Heart rate's about 180, his lungs are clear, so even his heart rate's not that elevated. We would like to get his weight today. I'm not sure that that's going to be. See, that's just when I just try to put my hand underneath him. That was a stress to him, and he wasn't sure why I was doing that, and so he's reacting. We want to listen to all those signals, so certainly we wouldn't want to just reach underneath there and continue to try to pick him up. You want to try to back off. Less is always more when you're dealing with a cat. I'm sorry, kids, I know this isn't fun. So I am going to apply just a little bit of, he's allowing me again to massage his scruff area without scrunching his neck. So I will be able to get just a little bit of a hole. I want to pick him up just ever so gently to get my hand around his belly. Alright. And I'm not really, alright. So I've made 2 attempts to get underneath his belly. One just reaching around, and the second was actually holding his scruff just to distract him more than anything. And he's not going to let us do that. In order for us to be able to do that, we would have to sedate him. But he's a young cat, he's only 3 or 4 years of age. I think we can forego that part of the exam. We did about as thorough as an exam as he's going to let me, but you probably noticed if you rewind this clip when you're watching it that his ears went down, he started hissing, he started crunching or hunching down, making himself small, and those are all signs of fear, and with the hissing, you certainly want to listen to those signals because he could lash out at any minute, and cat's claws, which he has plenty of them, are very sharp and can do a lot of damage. So I don't even know that we're going to be able to get a weight on him today. Do we have a weight of his carrier? See, he's not real happy. So I think what we're going to do, because he needs 2 vaccines, sometimes if you cover their head, where's the blanket you brought in? So I have a blanket, and we're going to cover his head, and then I'm going to try to just come in and give him his 2 shots. So again, everything is slow and easy. I don't know if you can hear him growling, but I certainly can. Okay. All right. He's ramping up. And so he's already starting to get defensive. At this point, we have to make a decision to sedate him or not, and I think we are so far ahead of the game with everything we've done with him so far that I'm reluctant to sedate him because the injections are going to be very quick. So what we're going to do, because in order to give him the sedative, he has to be held still to get that. What I'm going to do with the blanket over him is have Kerry hold him with the blanket around just to put some pressure down on him. I'm going to give him his 2 vaccines quickly, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the top back on the carrier. But what the whole situation here is that yes, he is a level 3 or 4, but you could say I could do a reasonable physical on him to a certain point. Someday we might get lucky with him. We may be able to do a full physical exam on him and actually get underneath and feel his belly and his lymph nodes and look at his butt, all those things. But without sedation today, he's not going to let us do that. So you have to learn where to cut your losses, and I think we're at that point with him. I don't want to stress him anymore. So we're going to go ahead and give him his vaccines. We're going to put his carrier cover back on him today. To get his weight, what we're going to do is weigh him in his carrier today, and then we'll have Nika bring the carrier back tomorrow and weigh the carrier. That way we know what he weighs. We don't even have to get him out of the carrier. And we will note on the carrier how much it weighs, so in the future when we have to weigh him, we don't even ever have to get him out of the carrier. We just weigh him with the carrier. So Kerry's, I think his head is facing the front here. Yes, it is. His head is here. He's this way. So why don't you come around to this side, Kerry, because I'm going to give him his vaccines on the other side. He's getting rabies and leukemia today.
Rabies and December. Oh,
Nope.
rabies and leukemia.
Rabies and leukemia. Okay. Both are annual shots. His 3 years current. So Kerry's going to go ahead and slowly but then firmly hold him so that I can come under and give him his shots. Now again, to give him a shot, we have to give him a shot anyway, whether it's going to be the sedative or his vaccine. So because we've done everything else, we're just going to go ahead and give him his shots. So this is going to be the hardest part for him, but with a level 4, this is what you have to do anyway. He's going to have to get an injection.
Sorry, buddy.
One. Done. Okay, so that was a stress for him, as you can see, but it went very quickly, and fortunately, before we got him all ramped up, we were able to do well, not everything. We weren't able to feel his abdomen, but without sedating him, he allowed us a fairly good physical exam, and actually, all things considered, it went pretty well. He actually allowed us to look at his mouth without lashing out and trying to bite. I'm kind of surprised he's not lashing out right now to try to get my hands by the cage, but maybe he's just happy that we've left him alone. So, cage doors back on, lashing back up, and there he is, Kelso, unhappy. But we were able to do a reasonable exam on an otherwise difficult patient because of his anxiety level without manhandling, and today without having to use sedation. Tomorrow may be a different day. I suspect with Kelso that's probably the best we're going to be able to do with him historically and in the future without sedation, but we'll see. He'll tell us next time. So until tomorrow, level 3 or 4.